And good morning, everyone out there tuning into this new Energy Crew podcast. We first off, we want to thank you. I think there's so many different podcasts out there, and the fact you're spending your time, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, or your insomnia times at night where you can't sleep and you want to catch up on the latest and greatest, hottest gossip. Not just in the energy space, but any space out there. You're tuning into Energy Crew podcast. I want to thank you for that, and I'm pretty excited. So it's been a busy week for me. It's been a busy week for our guest here today, and before we actually begin, would you like to introduce yourself, Bella, and kind of let's talk? And I want to hear. Look, this conversation we're starting off from the ground, and we're going to get into several things when it comes to marketing, kind of your background, what keeps you inspired, what you're seeing in the marketing oil and gas space. Let's just get into this. So why don't you give a little introduction of yourself and kind of let us know where you're recording this from this morning.
Yes, sir. So good morning. My name is Bella. I am the Junior Business Development Manager at Midnight Marketing. I'm originally from Montreal, but I have been spending the week in Houston. It is my first time here, and I'm pumped. I love it.
So before we get in, what's been your initial reaction of Houston?
Oh my goodness, I love it. So far, I'm not gonna lie, I've had a handful of people asking me when I'm moving. Undecided. I didn't know that I was moving, but apparently I have a few people who think that I should.
That's in the works. Visiting, that's in the works, yes.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, everyone is they're so lovely. I love it. No different to Canada so far.
Okay, all right. So Houston's one of those places where you have your favorite spots to go eat and all that stuff. Where have you been introduced to on your short week in Houston?
Fantastic question. I've currently been introduced to Uber Eats. That is where I've been.
No El Tiempo, no Carrabba's, no Papa's, nothing.
So, okay, I've heard of Papa's. I also had a colleague of mine suggest I go to Tejas Barbecue and Chocolate, but I think it's like an hour away. I'm not too sure. I think it's in Tomball. I could be very wrong. So far, that's
weird. That's a weird. I mean, like you hear Kata Robata for sushi, or Carrabba's for Italian, or whatever. You don't hear of.
Okay, Tejas. So JP, what's your go-to place for barbecue in Houston?
Well, I'm not really I'm a little barbecue guy. Look, I love barbecue. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that barbecue is $75 for 4 ounces of whatever thing. Oh, it's pricey these days. Yeah.
Oh no.
That's Biden barbecue-nomics. No, it's I like truth. I like truth. I know there's gonna be a lot of people but I'm not a barbecue guru, but I do enjoy good barbecue. But no, I would say if you're here, go to Truth, and that's near the actually that is kind of near where the Social Octane's oil and gas party is this evening.
Yes, sir. Okay, I will note it down. I'm still here until Sunday, so I've got a few days left. So
all right, well, there's El Tiempo you got to check out. I mean, if you haven't had any good Tex-Mex, I mean that's pretty stable. There's probably better places out there, but that's a pretty stable place to go. So hey, look, let's get off the foodie train when it comes to Houston and all that stuff. I want to hear about you right now. So, all right. So real quick, kind of give me if you don't mind, let's kind of have a conversation. I want to hear kind of background. What brought you into kind of how you kind of discovered Midnight Marketing, or how they discovered you, and kind of what you know about the oil and gas space, where you stepped in. What are you learning about it? Like kind of because this is why I'm asking. And again, I've told myself I would never. I got to stop asking questions, kind of like feeding into that given time. But the reason is why, because if for those that don't know who you are or haven't seen you, then that means they're not on LinkedIn. They're not checking out the latest and greatest. You've been, I've seen, I mean, your stuff, your content pops up. It's very engaging. It's new. It's definitely a breath of fresh air in a very, I think historically, I think we're getting better about the oil and gas space when it comes to marketing. I think we still have a long way to go when it comes to telling our story. But you see your content, you see your approach. It's such a new, dynamic, exciting, different way that I guess companies are communicating. So again, that's a lot. So let's start off with your background. So tell us about you.
Yeah, so I started off in retail when I got my first job, and I discovered I was a people person. I love talking. I was a theater kid to begin with, naturally that's where that came out from. And then when I was working in retail, I don't know, I couldn't do it anymore, and I had a friend at the time who suggested I come on to his team where he was working at the time because they needed an office administrator. I'm like, you know what? I'll do it.
You're tired of the retail. You're tired of standing around. Yeah, I did the retail game too. Yeah.
Like I love people and I love talking. I just spend so much time on my feet. I'm like, you know what? I want to dial it back a little bit.
And it's also let's give a shout out to the retail people. It's also dealing with people.
The people in retail are hardcore. The
Oh my
people
God.
that are, because you have to say the customer is always right.
Are they? Are they really always right?
I've
Especially when they're
worked
coming
in that.
like, "Hey, I bought this yesterday and it was 20% off. So now it's 21% off. Can I get my discount upgraded?" It's like, come on, man. I got other stuff to do. But anyway,
And
yes.
you're just screaming in your head like,
Yeah.
I can do that for
Yeah.
you.
I
And
know.
it honestly, shout out to retail workers. They're amazing.
100%.
We wouldn't be where we are without them.
But
So
also, I mean, I think working retail, you're right. I mean, I think there is something special about it because you do learn how to kind of talk to anyone off the fly and kind of learn what they're there for, kind of learn not to sell, but to kind of ask questions. I thought it was an enjoyable experience. But anyway, so continue. So
I know, I agree.
office manager administrator's position opened up.
Yeah, so went in as office administrator and they were doing door to door for telecommunications, so TV, home phone, internet, all that kind of good stuff. And then that same friend ended up opening up their own business. And he said, listen, I need a chief administrative officer. You have the knowledge, you've learned everything from the ground up. I want you on my team. I'm like,
Okay.
okay. So I signed on as CAO, and at the end of the day, I ended up doing that and door to door as well, in Ontario for a few months, and that was really interesting. And then we moved back to Montreal, and I was looking for a bit more to up my game. And I saw this position for office coordinator.
Real quick, what do you mean you were looking for a bit more to up your game? I mean, so was it just kind of like you weren't challenged anymore? What was it?
I feel like I wanted to challenge myself more because I graduated college in cinema and communications.
Okay.
And unless you're Beyonce getting discovered at a Sonic drive-through, it's really hard to get into that industry. Like, unless you're really good or you know the right people. Personally, I didn't think that I had what it took to get to that point. So that's when I went from retail to office administrator, CAO, all that kind of stuff. I thought, I can learn something that I never learned before. I didn't go to school for. What else can I do? If I can go this high, how much higher can I go? So then I started looking on not on LinkedIn, on Indeed, and I saw office coordinator for this marketing company. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna test it out. Looks cool. So I checked out their website, and their website was really cool. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oil and gas. I don't have any background in oil and gas, but I mean, again, if I can learn telecommunications and administration stuff, I'm pretty sure I can learn this too. And I gave it a shot. I sat down and I had my very first chat with Tim Taylor.
Mhm.
And he said, so you've done door to door? Yeah. You've done administration work? Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So I came on as office coordinator. And a few months later, he sat me down. He's like, look, you have the personality, you have the energy, and you have the drive. We want to build out a business development department at Midnight. Completely new. No one else has done it. All of the business is in my brain. I want someone to offboard it onto. And I was like,
Wow.
and here I am. I've been.
Well, so okay, so I think I'm actually jot something out. That's pretty interesting. So before you, I mean, because I think it's interesting. Like, so I'm first generation oil field. Didn't have any background before I started. I grew up in Connecticut. Went to Texas A&M. Went to France. Came to Houston. Couldn't find a job. Landed in the oil field. I really didn't have any knowledge of the energy space because it wasn't such a hot topic these days. It wasn't such a emotionally driven topic these days. So what was kind of your, I guess, understanding of the oil and gas space before you got in here, and I guess what were some big I guess stereotypes that you found to be true or not true?
Mhm. Well, to be honest, I mean, if you're not in oil and gas is big, bad, scary.
Hmm.
It's climate change. It's the world, and everything is impending doom. And I'm lucky enough to have one uncle that worked as an engineer, and
That's your connection. I got one uncle,
I have
second
one
cousin
uncle.
removed.
That's the only thing. And so obviously getting into this, I obviously, I had no one telling me the flip side of it. I only had one view of oil and gas. So coming into it, I'm like, again, listen, if I can learn about telecommunications and office work, I can learn about this too and see what the flip side is.
Right.
So coming in, I had no experience whatsoever.
And so, what was
And
your?
okay,
No, because I'm asking you. So you get in here because, like, I remember, like, when I got in, I remember the feeling. I was like, okay, wow, I got my job. First off, it was me getting a job. That was like the big thing. That was like, hallelujah, huzzah. And then it was like, okay, now it's like, I don't know anything about this. Like, wait, we're gonna float platforms in the middle of the ocean to drill a well. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, how does that transfer to gasoline where I put in my car? So I was very naive, and that's kind of why, like, I love the fresh perspective on the industry, because it's like, that's, I think, the communication we need to get down to as an industry. If we're talking about the industry, it's the
mhm.
people that don't understand the space. So I'm kind of curious about kind of your, I guess, experience kind of stepping in this new industry, this new kind of echo chamber, and what was that like, and kind of, if anything was disproven or kind of affirmed.
I mean, I'm very lucky to be surrounded by a whole bunch of people, and this industry is full of people that are willing to share their knowledge, and they're so kind about it too, and they're willing to sit down and give you the time of day to explain both both sides to it, so you can see, okay, I understand why there are people on the outside who say, oh, big bad scary oil and gas, and the people on the inside who are saying, yeah, but do you know what we're doing to try to make it better?
Right.
So I'm still learning to this day. I mean, it was
I
only
am
a few
too.
months ago I was sat down to have someone explain upstream, midstream, and downstream to me, frac plugs, hydraulic fracking, all of that. Um, and it's interesting. Like even now to this day, I'm learning about how many everyday products that we use that require oil and gas, like hand sanitizer and makeup, and to a certain extent, clothing. So it's interesting to think that if we removed that aspect, how would our everyday products continue to be used
Yeah.
without
No,
it?
it's kind of cool. I mean, you're right. People definitely love in this industry, love talking about what they know. They love talking about kind of like, I think this is like a distractor right now. They love talking about, like, what they know and all that stuff. But also, it's that's a very good. I mean, it's one of those things. It doesn't matter how long you're in the industry, you're not going to know everything. So I've been in the industry since 2005, and that's crazy. It's like 18 years, almost 19. I still don't know a lot, and I'm okay with that. So
Mhm.
it's always one of those things. Like, it's okay to, like, always ask questions. So if you're out there listening and all that stuff, and you're like, I feel like I should know this, just ask. People like talking about what they know.
Absolutely, that's what I'm doing now. I mean, I like to be very transparent on my LinkedIn as well in telling people I don't have a background in marketing. I don't have a background in oil and gas. I don't know, but I want you to explain it to me. So if I'm saying something that, perhaps doesn't sound right, explain it to me in layman terms so that I do understand. Because I want to gain that knowledge. That's what makes me happy at the end of the day is being able to know from all sides.
So that's pretty interesting. So I love that idea of, we're hiring, like what Tim said. We're hiring the right personalities for the role, not the
Mhm.
experience. We're hiring the personalities. And I remember, that just happened at a company that I was at previously, Pinergy. They were like, hey, I'm like, hey, I don't really have sales experience. They're like, doesn't matter. We're hiring. We want the right people on the bus to go towards the direction. It kind of sounds very similar to what Tim was doing. So what
Mhm.
was that experience kind of like, being brought on to midnight marketing, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, by the way, we want you to lead the business development side of this oil and gas marketing company, and you're like, okay, I'll do
All
this.
right.
So talk to me about kind of jumping in that pool.
I mean, it was definitely well, first of all, having Tim as a mentor it's genuinely insane. It is a wild ride because there is so much information in his brain that I've been given the opportunity to extract.
How does
And
that
so
work? Like,
so we
because like, no, because what I'm saying, like, I would see, like, Tim seems to be like such a, like, a creative person, kind of like, a visionary, this and that stuff. So how is that, I guess, grabbing that information and communicating with him and kind of getting that information? Because I know, I can reflect. I'm sure if I'm trying to communicate something to my wife about, like, the vision, I'm like, I gotta do something. Like, I'll be distracted. So what's that like? I guess getting moments from him and kind of like pausing to extract that knowledge.
Honestly, it kind of like the situations are they come as they go almost. So I remember my very first discovery call. I didn't set it up, but he had someone who knew him who wanted to look into marketing at the time, and he's like, "Okay, you're going to sit on in on this with me, and you're going to take notes." So I took notes, and then every single thing that that person said, I would ask him, okay, what does this mean? Okay, why do we do this? Okay, is this okay? Are we allowed to say that? And then as we go, it would really just be him giving me the confidence to take it on myself. So connecting with people that he wouldn't trust anyone else to connect with. He's like, these are like great names in the industry that I want you to connect with because I think that you can do a lot with that. And I wouldn't just ask anybody to talk to them because I know that you have a lot from what I'm telling you. But taking all of this information from Tim, it's really talking to him practically every single day. I'm pretty sure that he's sick and tired of me already. He has to talk to me every single day, but it's just asking him constant questions.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that confidence. Okay, I love hearing that because it seems like this industry is very, and this is my perspective. I'd love to hear kind of other people's perspective too. But my perspective is that this industry is very knowledge based, like experience based. Like I've
Mhm.
done this, I've done that, and I remember it took me 7 years before I had confidence in this industry, and I still don't have all the confidence. Actually, now I have the confidence to say I don't know what but before is like there was so much technical knowledge and there's so many big characters, right? Big characters fill in the room. So the fact that you have this confidence to approach people and you have this confidence that's been instilled with you when you haven't previously had experience is phenomenal. So how I guess it's kind of a two-part question. Like how are you bringing that? I mean that confidence, but also that sense of like wonder. Like I don't know what I'm talking about, but also I'm confident knowing that I can help you out, but I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, I would rather tell the person straight up to their face, hey, I don't know the answer to this question. Explain it to me, or I don't know the answer to this question, but I know someone who will. So I'd rather put that out there and be transparent rather than be humbled down the line where they're like, oh, but you told me you know what this means. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
maybe not. So it's the confidence comes from just putting myself out there and being honest with people, just to tell them, tell me what you know so that I can learn from you and be better at what I'm doing.
So I mean, so it would seem like someone, you're new in the industry, you got, fresh ideas, but at the same time, you still want to answer to the. How are you balancing? I guess because the content, the stuff you're putting out there is new. It's like hasn't. I don't think it's been seen before in the oil and gas space. And the thing is, though, you're trying stuff, and
Mhm.
that's the cool part. I remember when you took over Tim's LinkedIn for a week. Like I'm seeing that, I'm like, you're trying stuff, and I think that's so inspirational. So how are you kind of finding that balance between like trying new stuff out and I guess respecting the traditions?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean,
We ask good questions here on Energy Crew podcast.
fantastic. Thank
Thank
goodness.
you.
It's I guess it's really just about not necessarily like knowing what the consumer wants, but it's also kind of going with what is trending now in everyday marketing as well and in branding. What do potential prospects want to see, and how can I mix that in with who I am and what I'm doing?
So
So
how do you see like what's trending now in marketing? Is that something like you kind of like like I mean I hate like not taking away anything away like but like is that like kind of scrolling saying hey look this is kind of getting a lot of attention or like this formula this whatever is kind of getting a lot of let's try this out.
I mean, I'm very grateful to have a huge team behind me who is also producing constant work for their clients,
Right.
and we're always sharing ideas to keep our bubble of creativity open. And one of my very good friends, she's always sending me TikTok ideas like, "Oh, I think you could do this for your personal LinkedIn. Oh, what do you think about doing this with your LinkedIn?" And so it's a huge collaborative space, and that's how I'm getting it. And a lot of it is also from constantly being on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and seeing what people post the most. Like I recently posted a poll on my page saying, "Okay, what gets you to stop scrolling? What content do you like?" And a lot of people had said that
I
they
remember
prefer,
that one. Yeah.
yeah, video with captions.
Yeah.
I love videos with captions.
Yeah.
If I'm in an area where I can't put earphones in or put the volume up, I love being able to read along and still witness the content because it's personal. And I'll say this time and time again, I'll sound like a broken record, but people want people. So if I'm seeing someone's video with the captions, I get the personality, but I also get to read along and still feel engaged with the content.
God, there's so much to uncover here. Okay, so let's talk about content. Let's talk about people's content. I feel like a couple years ago, obviously when COVID, everyone's behind the computer. Personal branding was very important. It was very center stage. People were talking about the brand, the personal brand, the brand this, brand that. I feel that's kind of fallen on the back burner a little bit, but at the same time, it still is extremely important for people to kind of understand the personal brand without people staying on scrolling on LinkedIn or this or that or diving or getting stressed like that, because I feel like it might be an overwhelming subject. Like, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm not going to worry about that. What, I guess, quick, easy, low hanging fruit can people kind of that should people focus on or discuss or think about when whether any piece of content, whether it's personal branding or content about their company or content about whatever, like what type of stuff is kind of engaging and I guess often not thought of, like the easy stuff.
Honestly, the easiest thing that comes to mind, and it's something that Tim has told me time and time again, is just whip out your phone and just get it gone. Just literally take out your phone, film yourself around the office, because that's what people want to see. That's what drives people to midnight as well. Yes, it's our work, and yes, it's what we're doing for our clients. But at the end of the day, they want to see the behind the scenes. They want to see who's that marketing coordinator who's on my project.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just whipping out your phone and filming a little 30-second video, it goes a very, very long way.
And it could be about anything, it could be literally about anything. Like y'all have done some very creative stuff. But that's the thing, like some of the stuff, like that dude riding the Fleetwood Mac song, drinking the cranberry juice. I mean, that was something simple, it was silly, but at the same time,
oh, that was such a good video.
Everyone knows that. It was so that's the thing. You never know what's going to hit, what's not going to hit.
Absolutely. I think it's a big thing. And it could even be a picture of the team after Thanksgiving. It could be you literally doing a PPE like walkthrough. Like this is what my hard hat looks like. These are the gloves that we're using. People love that kind of stuff. And it's really easy. I mean, I think that it's easy because I have my phone on me and I can just talk to the camera.
Right.
But for the people who aren't confident in having their camera
out,
it's
uncomfortable.
Yeah, find someone who is, or just do a walkthrough of the facility. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a thing. Like like I'll do all these videos, like these. I've been trying to do more, because I've been trying to get pursue my coaching certificate. But like, I'm not comfortable with it. Like, I mess up a lot. I'll have to do them probably 9 or 10 different times. But that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of B-reels that people don't understand. Like, it's never just do it. Just get it out there and do it. I want to talk to you about kind of marketing. I feel like marketing in the oil and gas space is not something that's understood. I feel like marketing in the oil and gas space is a lot of times, and honestly, I heard this. I hear this complaint all the time. It's like people third-party marketing, okay, and the marketing company usually has no idea or concept about the oil and gas space, okay. And they're like, well, I guess I'll just give them, a retainer for whatever. And I always hear this. It's always so ridiculous that. First off, I believe that marketing is probably one of the most important things to a company. All right. There's so much great ideas out there, but there's so much stuff that we're getting every day on a daily basis from our phone. So marketing to me is something that should take center stage when you have especially a startup, right? Or a new company or even a growing company. So I find a lot of times when people do marketing in the oil and gas space, they third party it and it's not the quality they want. What are you seeing, I guess, some stories when it comes to stuff like that, when it comes to marketing in the oil and gas space, because it is kind of a different environment to market in. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about, I guess, your experience and the importance of marketing, and especially in the oil and gas space.
Absolutely. I mean, I've heard this from a lot of people that they feel there are a lot of people in the workspace now that aren't taking their marketing seriously because they think, okay, and there's nothing wrong with going on Canva and whipping out a really nice graphic and
I love Canva. Let's not Canva.
I use Canva all the time. Canva all the time. And I think personally marketing is an investment. And I don't think a lot of people understand that either. They think that marketing is a few good graphics here and there, maybe a marketing campaign, and then that's it. It's really not. Marketing is it's brand awareness, it's getting your services out there, it's showcasing what you and your team are capable of, and it's building that authenticity as well. I'm not going to want to go for a company that, doesn't have their face out there, doesn't explain their services, and they're all around generally quiet online
Yeah,
as well.
it feels murky. It feels murky.
It
It
feels
feels,
murky.
no, I think, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's so many great, again, there's so many great products out there. There's so many great ideas. There's so many great services and companies out there. But without proper marketing, and it's one of those things, it's staying relevant. It's staying on top of people's minds. I mean, I know that, people always in their bubble, like, oh, everyone's thinking about exec crew right now. Everyone's thinking about exec crew because I'm thinking about it. That's my world. That's on my to-do list. That's what how many people are thinking about exec crew? Probably not anyone but me. So that's why it's so important to keep on putting marketing out there, keep on telling your message out there over and over. What's been kind of the conversation that's carried people over the hump when it comes to, I guess, taking their marketing serious?
I think it's really when they see it's when they see what we're capable of, but it's also when we come to the table for our first marketing meeting and saying, listen, this is what I've noticed, having done research on the company and research on your consumer and research just all in general. This is what I think you could be doing. This is what I've seen works. I want to hear what you have to say. So it's giving them the opportunity to know that we're doing the work and showing them that we're experts in the field and that we have suggestions. And should they want our opinion, it's there, but also giving them the leeway to drive their brand, because at the end of the day, it's their voice, their brand, drive it in the direction that they want. So they have the help if they want it. But if they want to go off and do it the way that they want to do it, we're going to do that and make it better.
No, I love that because the value y'all bring to the table, the way y'all are able to communicate the story. I mean, I've worked with y'all for several months now, and it's just like every week I get more excited for our meetings because it's like, holy shit, I never thought about that. Or like, oh my God, like like I get more excited about the direction just because it's thought of. Like, I think of ways. I mean, I had a podcast where I talked about fever, brands fever, but like, it's so cool to get other people's fever towards my brand. Like,
Mhm.
because it's just a unique way to look at kind of telling a story. And I think that's a lot of stuff is telling a story. But that's the thing too. How do y'all navigate people's, I guess, control? Because I can think of personal experience and also a lot of people's experience when it comes to their own company branding strategy. A lot of people, they hold on to a lot of control. They don't want a lot of stuff getting out. Oh, this is my team. I don't want any of my face's team getting out. So my poach. How do you handle, I guess, the trust and having people relinquish the control to your team?
Well, to be honest, it's all about hearing them out and understanding why they don't want their face out there or why they don't want certain things and certain pieces of content coming out either. So taking the time to be empathetic towards the client, because that's the most important. At the end of the day, as the marketing team, the project managers and the marketing coordinators, they are trying to replicate your voice. They're trying to be the chameleon. So if you're telling me, okay, I don't want that out there, but perhaps we know that it may benefit you, we're going to understand that, but we're also going to say, no problem. This is what I've seen works. If you do want to get your face out there, this is what the impressions are like. This is what the engagement is like. If this is something you want to explore in the future, this is what it would look like. And we just bring out a whole campaign to prove what benefits it could be to you. But
And
ultimately,
look,
at the end of the day,
and, and
it's the
and then
customer.
after you start implementing that, I mean, tell me, give me some stories of success. Like, after y'all start implementing a campaign or something like that, or people's, it's you get over that hump and someone's like, okay, come on in and we'll do this. I mean, tell me, how does that feel for you? I mean,
Oh, it's when they officially agree to go forth with a project idea that someone has had for them, or that, let's say, we
yeah,
is the team. When that goes forward and we see the reactions that we're also getting from our team internally, because we have a whole army going behind this. So okay, my best example would be recently we've done a Christmas campaign
okay,
for a few clients where they're posting old pictures of them from the 80s, from the 90s, of them sitting in front of the Christmas tree, some of them in diapers, and it is the cutest thing, but it is so personal and authentic to who they are, and they're willing to be vulnerable to their clients and say, hey, 30 years ago I was wearing diapers and reindeer antlers in front of a Christmas tree, and now I'm your most trusted advisor in the oil and gas energy space. You know what I mean? So when we get past that hump and we see the engagement rate and we see the impressions and the comments in the in like on the post as well, it just makes us feel like, okay, we can actually we can do something that will increase their engagement rate and that people will love.
I mean, it's remarkable seeing. So I know I've known Tim for years. I've known, and just seeing kind of like, he kind of works, cards kind of close to his chest, but the next thing you know, like you see a Canada office open, you see a Mexico office open, you see guys at, social octane events, you see, I'm talking, people around the crew club table. I'm like, oh yeah, you've heard of Midnight. I was like, oh, yeah, I use Midnight Market. I'm like, wait, what? Like you're seeing Midnight Marketing kind of like pop up in all these different avenues and areas, and just the growth and the impact of the industry. I just think that's probably got to be such a really cool, satisfying feeling.
Well, we want to be able to take those risks in a good way because we know that it works, because we know that not everyone has taken that risk before. So if we are going to establish ourselves or continue to establish ourselves as, thought leaders, as a marketing agency, specifically in oil and gas, we have to take those risks. We have to post the pictures of the workers in diapers in front of a Christmas tree. It has to be done, because if we don't do it, then someone else will. But then again, competition is what is the healthiest thing in this industry, because if you let's say, for example, we're at the top of the game, there's no other competitors, and we think that we're here, we're going to think, hey, this is the greatest that we can be, and that's just where we're going to continue to be. Whereas if we have competitors who are always, budging us up a little bit, we're going to say, okay, I see that, I want to go above and beyond it. And it's healthy to be able to learn from others. So take the risk, do what you got to do.
So speaking about that, and I guess the industry that we're in, what are some of the stuff? I mean, you're talking about taking the risk, okay? What's some of the stuff that you see, or that you see that you can just, you wish you had a megaphone, like stop doing this or start doing this?
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, there's everything from the record runs to the whatever, or to the, what is it? There's the wind turbine with the eagle next to it. There's always that one too. Like, so what's the stuff that you see that you wish people would, when it comes to marketing their companies or something like that, like start doing, or like, please just like alter this? Not that anyone's wrong, but from your personal perspective.
Oh goodness.
I know that's a tough question. I mean, for me, I would say this on my end. I think the oil and gas industry needs kind of a shot of prime, as I joke around with my daughter, the prime juice. I think it needs to be a little more refreshed. I think people probably need to unlock the doors a little bit more when it comes to what people are going to show. I mean, we had a conversation last night. I had someone on my podcast, and we talked about something like cryptocurrency, or we talked about like whiskey or something completely different, not even oil food. We didn't even tell them where they worked, and they got in so much trouble, or the potential guys, about coming on a show. And to me, it's like, we have to be more vocal about who we are as an industry, as people, as individuals. Otherwise, people think we're this big oil greedy giant. So for me, it's opening the doors and kind of highlighting who we are as people.
Absolutely. I mean, well, to answer your question, going back on what I said earlier, it's the content. Obviously within your regulations, you don't want to get your bosses angry, but post pictures, post videos. Like, there are people who want to see what your PPE is like. There are people that want to see a facility walkthrough, and it could be, in 2x speed, a 30-minute video, just very quickly walking around the entire facility. Chop it up if you need to. Or even if it's just, it could be you doing a silly TikTok dance with your boss, obviously probably not on work hours, but still something that showcases who you are and who your team is. Because we don't want to just think, oh, okay, this group is a bunch of robots who, they don't put anything out there, and they're just very, it's very nice to know that people are professional about their work, but you also want to know who these people are.
I would also say on an added thing to that, like if you do a shop tour, you do something like that, like provide some like I mean that might inspire like your next employee. That might inspire like some kid that's looking at TikTok that's like, oh my God, like that's a cool piece of huge equipment. I mean, what is that? Oh, that's only gas based.
Yeah.
So it might help the recruit and retain people.
And I would love to see more knowledge on the LinkedIn timeline. I see a whole bunch of fun facts or fun facts, if you will, about what our everyday use of oil and gas is like, and just okay, what are the components of a rig, and how do you use a wellbore? I want to know everything. And again, there are a few people who are concerned nowadays that we're not enticing the younger generation to work in this industry. And if you are going to entice them, you have to get on the social platforms that they're using,
And which are
which would be if it's not LinkedIn, you should be on LinkedIn because that's where, I'd say 95% of people are if you are working in corporate or just if you're working in oil and gas. And use TikTok,
I
use
know.
Instagram. I love TikTok. I
I use
love
it. I use it. You have to accept it.
it.
It's oh, I don't get on TikTok or all that. Just use it. Just who cares?
If
Just
you can't beat them, join them.
I know, and that's the thing. Like I personally don't like social media. It's I think but I understand the relevance of it. I understand the
Mhm.
importance of it, especially when it comes to promotion. So I think I definitely lean in. So all right, we're coming up on 40 minutes. Let's wrap this up. I know we have both have busy
Alrighty.
days. I know already. So I want to ask you a question. What are you most excited about in the near term, and where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself and kind of like your dreams and aspirations with Midnight Marketing in the?
Ooh,
I know, and that it's a tough question. I
it's a great
mean,
question.
I remember when I started off at Noble Journal, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I was like, oh, I see myself here. 5 years later, I was pulling pipe back into Derek. So they never go hand in hand. So what are you inspired by when it comes to this industry and also kind of your team, Midnight Marketing, being a business development leader at an oil and gas marketing company?
Oh boy. In the near future, I'd love to see us everywhere. I'd love to see us networking further. I'd like to see us on billboards. I'd love to see us in airports. I would love to see the Midnight Marketing name everywhere in all of the major cities that concentrate on oil and gas, especially Houston. We're working on it. In the I'd say further down the line, personally for myself, I'd love to be able to eventually build out a bigger team to be able to attend these networking events and
Yeah.
also to be able to spread the word of networking and knowledge and say, listen, you don't have a background in marketing, you don't have a background in oil and gas, but if you can talk to people and you're willing to sit down and listen to them, you can go a long way. So I want to also be able to give people who were in my shoes 2 years ago the chance to be where I am now.
And so, how would someone do that? So, if someone's out there listening and saying, "Man, I kind of want to do what she's doing," I think that's very impressive and stuff. So, how would someone kind of go about that?
Don't be afraid to ask the right people, and don't be afraid to just reach out, because if you don't reach out, you'll never know what would have happened. If you do reach out, and if you do get turned down, at least you know.
At
But
least you know.
now at least you've made the first step and you know where to go from there. You can't just stay at the starting line. You got to go somewhere.
I love that. All right, so okay, so we got the Social Octane event this evening, and you're going. I'm assuming. Yep.
Yes, sir. And I'm bringing a very special guest who has been staring at me this entire time.
Let's see it. Oh, we gotta get. I gotta get a screenshot of this.
So
I know who it is. I
for
feel like I
anyone who's
do.
listening and can't see, feel free to go to Midnight's Instagram because he's all over there. For those of you who are physically watching this, I'd like to introduce you to Shmi.
There we go. I love how you're like holding. You're hugging.
Oh, we're hugging. We do have some. We do butt heads when it comes to traveling. He does steal the show a little bit. But I
And
mean,
you go on airplanes too.
yes, sir.
Talk to me about that.
So one of the project managers and we brought him to Oklahoma for the last Social Octane game of the season,
Right.
and he was a hit. We had people yelling at us from across the golf course, like, "Stop the car! We need a picture." I was like, okay. I posted it somewhere on my LinkedIn. I have a lot of really great pictures of it too, and people were just dying to get pictures with him. So this is Shmeez, our midnight mascot.
Shmeez, the
Shmeez.
CMO, Chief
The
Marketing,
CMO. He's currently an intern. He does
Chief
have a LinkedIn.
Chief Marketing. He has a LinkedIn?
He has a LinkedIn. He has
I
an
love that.
Instagram. Listen, if Shmeez is on LinkedIn and Instagram and eventually TikTok, that gives you no excuse.
So wait, where's Shmeez? Where's that name? Is that a
It
Midnight Marketing family name?
No, it's really just we had a few names popping up of potentials. We had Mariah Scary. We had really random ones come up, and I'd suggested Shmeez just because why not? It was a weird name, sounds alien-like, and it stuck.
Is Shmeez going to
And
be at the Oil and Gatsby party tonight?
yes, sir,
I love
absolutely.
that.
He does have a little holiday outfit.
That's so awesome. I love it. Well, hey, honestly, do you have any like final like, oh, I should have said this, or I want to bring this up, or like I got something to say out there. Do you have anything like you kind of want to plug, talk about, or bring up before we kind of wrap this up?
I mean, I would love to give a huge shout out to the team back in Montreal and the remote
Yes.
team that we have. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them just constantly like hyping up our work and doing an amazing job and marketing and our websites and branding. So this one is absolutely for them. They are everything. They're
You know
great.
what's funny about Midnight Marketing? It's one of those y'all are a company, and I've learned this. I mean, again, y'all are popping up everywhere and all that stuff. But it's funny. It's like if you haven't heard of Midnight, I feel like if you haven't heard of Midnight Marketing, you've definitely seen Midnight Marketing in the oil and gas space because y'all are. It's funny as I remember having conversations with the team, or like Tim. I'm like, hey, you heard of this? He's like, yeah, we work with him. Or I was like, oh my god, like. I'm like, of course you do. I saw their website. So, or I've seen their marketing. So anyway, so hats off to y'all. I love, again, I look forward to the meetings that I have with Midnight Marketing. And I thank you for taking time out on your busy Houston tour to get on this podcast. And thank you, Shmeez. Might be a little UFO or UAP jet lagged. But anyway, I want to thank you out there. And I guess everyone out there, thank you. And if you have any questions or want to connect with Bella, reach out to her. You can find her on LinkedIn. Where else can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn if you want to see some behind the scenes. I also post on Instagram. It's my full name. That's about it.
There you go. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see y'all soon. And thank you for joining us.